hunt to the winner of Entity versus Mechtastic, and that will be the final game. And then there will be a determiner for third and fourth place game prior to that, probably.
Really winding down there. Both of these players are Masters players. Daybreak, WCS Daybreak.
Mm-hmm. Gotta change your overlays, friend. So in the lower left, we have the blue Protoss coming hot off of a win. It is Paladin.
In the upper right, we've got our red Terran. His name is Dfraz.
So this is a bit of a bigger map. It's unlike, not that we've seen a lot of anything proxy or anything goofy going on. We've seen a couple of proxy starports, but it's kind of unlikely that we'll be seeing a ton of that.
It is very strong on this map. One of my favorite things as Protoss is to put a proxy Stargate right here, and you can get that Oracle into his base at the point where he's only usually got a few Marines if he's going for anything at all besides just mass Marines.
Mm-hmm.
We will see what comes out. Paladin obviously favors the Stargate, and Dfraz, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, I think he went Reaper a couple games, but I don't think that was something he favored. So putting down his barracks right now at the front. Paladin moving out, checked his back area a little bit just to make sure there's no proxy barracks, just doing a little scout around. You'd think he was playing a PvP looking for pylons. Gas going down for Paladin, as well as his pylon. Barracks continuing on. Looks like a single refinery is pumping, now having 3 SCVs added to it. Is he going to try and put that supply depot down before this probe got up here? But they give a handshake, and the supply depot goes down just in time. That's a very smart move. He canceled construction on that barracks just a second early to start that supply depot to block the probe out.
In the meantime, Dfraz's SCV is making its way slowly across the map. Gonna have no problems getting in to see what's there to see.
Now, when a Terran does that kind of move, where it's very definite, very on purpose, do you get a little bit paranoid thinking he's actually trying to hide something?
Well, I mean, you can't help but wonder if something goofy is coming out.
He does see that Reaper come out, which takes out the scouting probe as he lifts up his barracks to put down the reactor.
Paladin does have a Zealot out, which is now going to chase out Dfraz's SCV. Dfraz is undeterred, running right back in, and so does the Reaper.
That Stalker comes out. It's going to shut down that Reaper pretty well. This map does not have a very large cliff that's jumpable for that Reaper, so it's pretty easy to defend against it. He's just going to hang out in the back as he goes straight for factory, straight for command center, towards the macro bio play, I would imagine.
And the Nexus does go down.
Successfully gets another probe kill. That's the second probe kill for that Reaper. He's just kind of staying away, not trying to get too aggressive with that, just trying to keep, I think probably just scouting down to a minimum, keep the probes in the base. Reaper MVP Little Wolf 2005 says he is an MVP. Maybe in Legacy of the Void they'll make Reapers be able to fly.
It'll be an activated ability.
The factory does finish. Starport goes down instantly. Mine coming out for Dfraz. Marines continue to be constructed and queued. I guess humans aren't really constructed, are they?
I guess not.
They're trained.
Mothership core does finish.
Reaper coming back in to see what's going on. He's going to hop up here right into the wrath of that mothership core. Does have enough life to go on past and see all the probes mining, see if there's any tech hidden in the back, and he does end up getting taken out by that Stalker.
In the meantime, Dfraz continues to make Marines out of his barracks. Starport finishes, but isn't immediately getting production out of there. Now gets the medevac down. It opts for the barracks.
This is an interesting thing I've heard some people talking about. You see a lot of Terrans go right away for the reactor on the starport to get 2 medevacs right away, but if you think about it, you can get 2 medevacs out pretty quickly if you factor in the long amount of time it takes to make that reactor as well. It looks like so far today we've seen most people that go for early medevacs just get the medevac right away without getting the reactor. Bunker going down out front of Dfraz's expansion just in case there's any Protoss trouble.
And he loads up 2 mines and boosts away, getting ready for a drop on the Protoss Natural.
He is queuing that right on up to go down there. Right to the back. Could do a lot of damage if Protoss doesn't notice it. He doesn't have any spotting out on the map. Just take a quick look and see what Protoss knows about. Protoss doesn't know anything about what Terran's doing besides that barracks at the front. So here comes that boosted medevac, and he's going to try and drop these mines right in the mineral line as he puts down a pylon. Let's see if Paladin can react to this. He does, instantly pulling all those probes away. Putting a mine down in that mineral line. He does not have any detection, so he's going to have trouble mining from that. Does sacrifice 1 probe smartly to deactivate that mine for a period of time, so he can go back and mine for a couple minutes. Not really a couple minutes, a few seconds. I think he does pick that up though.
And just boosts right on out of there.
Right on out as he puts down a cannon in each mineral line to protect against it in the future.
We see Zealot charge coming out.
Thanks, Artosis.
No problem.
Zealots.
Yeah. And 2 more gateways get turned into warp gates.
Stim going down and +1 attack for Dfraz, as well as concussive shells, getting all the upgrades.
That drop's coming back in though, wants to get a little bit more blood. But that Mothership Core spots it, and the Stalker is right there to head it off. 2 more Stalkers get warped in, and the other group comes up. He's going to have to just get out of there. Hallucinated Phoenix going, trying to get a scout out.
The medevac now coming across to continue moving around. He did a nice job of hiding that mine down there behind the rocks.
Yeah, pretty tough to see.
Putting another mine down at the 3rd. He's just going to leave those mines there to see what happens, moving the medevac down back to his main to pick up into 2 medevacs with Marines and Marauders. And he's going to maybe meet up with that. No, he's going to let that other one go. So he's going to move in for a pretty strong drop here in the main of Paladin, rallied right in the back. Paladin doesn't have any units back here. Looks like he's putting down a lot of warp gates with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 now, 3 in production, 3 finished. So this is going to be a really strong drop if he gets us in the right spot, because Paladin's army is all the way headed over by the 3rd.
But he sees it, immediately pulls back. He's got the Mothership Core there. The cannon is there. Photon overcharge goes down. The cannon falls. Zealots warp in, but he just loads up and gets out.
That was a nice press with minimal losses. Lets Paladin know that he's there, makes him stay a little bit more cozy in his base rather than moving out too much. Looks like a pylon went down here. This mine still either hasn't been activated recently, it's not on cooldown, so if a probe was to come down, see how the pathing of this probe is. If it walks into that mine, it's going to definitely take a shot. No cannon for you, but now the 2nd probe is already there to put that down. That cannon is going to reveal that mine.
You see 3 High Templar on the map, and Storm is being researched, so it looks like we're going to be seeing something somewhat similar to what we saw Paladin do in his previous matches.
Dfraz taking his 3rd base, flying it over down to the 3 o'clock position. Looks like the food count is, I consider, fairly even, 101 to 122. Protoss is a little bit ahead, but with the production that Terran has, it could easily even out relatively quickly with both players taking their 3rd bases. Dfraz moved that mine up a bit to try and be a little more aggressive on that ramp, but the Observer comes in and he's easily able to take that out.
And Storm has finished, and he has 3 Storm-ready High Templars.
Still 2 almost full medevacs that he attempted to drop with before, hanging out in the back, and 3 more full medevacs come to join us. He's going to do a mega drop here in the main of Paladin. The army is well situated a long ways away, so if he does do this, it could be nasty. There is enough energy on the mothership core for a photon overcharge, but that's not going to do much to 5 full medevacs worth of units. Looks like there's another counterattack force that's going to swing down either to the 3rd or the natural as this drop comes in. Looks like they're going to head over to the 3rd. I'm expecting a coordinated push here, as Dfraz has done this in previous games. Let's attack here a little bit. As you can see, the reaction he wanted is the Protoss army to move down. And as soon as he sees them, he's probably going to move these medevacs right into the main, and there they go.
2 High Templar right there, but they will not do anything.
They do take out 2 of those medevacs when they weren't unloaded yet.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, it was very fast. Very nice feedback on those. They were medevacs that had been hanging around a while, so they had almost full energy. But he does take out that Nexus in the main. That is going to be a big blow to Paladin. As Paladin's army shows up late to the party once again, puts back down that Nexus. There's really not that much minerals left, but he really needs the mining capacity. He could just... Honestly, in my opinion, he should just move those probes down to the 3rd for now, put that back up for...
Looks like that's exactly what he's doing.
Finish mining out those gases later.
You got to be feeling somewhat frustrated when you're in Paladin's position right now, when you're getting hit on all sides, like he is.
Dfraz extending the food lead now, 116 to 146. He's just slowly edging ahead as he has that 3rd base now well established, putting down a supply depot wall. Dfraz is just looking in a really strong position with 2/2 upgrades going down, +1 attack, +1 shield going down for Protoss as well. So Dfraz is definitely going to have the lead in upgrades. Looks like he's taking a little break here to let his medevacs heal his units up before he charges into this 3rd, but the Paladin army is there lying in wait ready. No High Templars in it though. That is a lot of speed zealots. Those zealots are going to be replacement for sentries in this phase of the game, holding the army back a bit, but that stutter step of Dfraz is just too much to handle for those zealots after the charge is exhausted.
And that weapon upgrade level 2 finishes right now, and he's going to push forward with a stim right into Storms.
Nice Storms there. Really nice Storms as he preempted the sort of return of the Terran army and stormed in the way, so when he walked back into it, he walked back into that storm. Very good hold off. Those High Templar would have been nice to be there a little sooner, could have held it off and maybe not lost as many zealots, because he did lose a ton of zealots.
Now we see the Thermal Lance going down.
Ghost Academy on the field with cloaking going down as well. +3 attack for bio units and +2 shields. +2 shield going down for Protoss as well. It's likely going to be for those Archons that rely mostly on the shields.
And Protoss already has their +3 ground armor as well.
Those High Templar were sitting there ready for those medevacs to come in, but it looks like they pulled back and caught Paladin off guard as he looked away for a second, but he's going to get 1 storm off before.
And he just sits in there, killing most of the ground army, and the Zealots are going to easily clean that up.
Dfraz once again continuing to just power ahead in the food. He's now maxed with this bio army with, looks like 3 ghosts in the mix. Cloaking is almost done. Looks like it's going to have another 10 or 12 seconds left to go.
And Dfraz's drop play has really done what he's needed it to do, which is simply keep the Protoss army back, keep him held back, running between the bases, and not really attacking Dfraz, so he can really choose the momentum of this game.
Paladin does see every movement of the Terran army as he has an observer attached right on them, so he's going to be able to adjust his army accordingly. Dfraz holding off is actually going to be a really good thing for Paladin because it's allowing Paladin to catch up in the food. Now he was about 60 behind, now he's only about 40.
3 ghosts have entered the unit composition of that army.
Paladin now putting down a 4th base. It's likely not going to last long as he scans and sees it and moves right in for the kill.
And Dfraz did scan and find that observer, so that is no longer there.
Now he's going to move up to the Naturally, there is a lone Colossus there. If he were to just stim right up there, that Colossus would be in big trouble. Luckily, he sees it and pulls it back in time. Pulls the rest of his army back together, using those Zealots.
Two High Templar are coming in from the back trying to get some storms off in the retreat, and those are some great storms. Look at that. Oh my goodness.
All the shields on all the units are gone after those cloaked ghosts come on in and take care of those shields.
Both sides.
Special tactics. Terran is just powering right into the Protoss' base. Those Archons holding him off briefly, but it's not enough to take that largely bio army. Very accurate stutter steps there to keep the Colossus moving. He's going to be able to run right up on them as the ground forces of Protoss are largely depleted. Warping a few Zealots may be enough with that Colossus to hold this off, but still not going to be in a very good position going forward. Looks like he is able to clean that up as he still does have the cloaked ghost there, so this small bio army with that many medevacs is going to be really hard to deal with because they can almost heal as fast as the Protoss units can do damage to them.
And the robotics facility does go down with an unfinished Colossus in it.
Looks like he does sense those High Templar coming, loads those medevacs up before the High Templar can come and feed back them. They did not have a ton of energy, but they also took a lot of damage, so feedback would have likely eliminated a lot of them. Another robotics facility going down the front. Paladin having to rebuild a lot of his infrastructure, 4 gateways, 2 robos, and putting down +3 shields while +3 infantry armor and +1 ship weapons goes down. So Dfraz is going to be transitioning into some Vikings to deal with those Colossus.
Yep, we already see 4 on the field.
I'm wondering, though, at this stage of the game, if Paladin is even going to continue going back towards the Colossus, as he had a lot of that infrastructure torn down and has to rebuild those, and has a good High Templar front with a ton of minerals, so he could easily swell up a bit with Zealots and Storm Archons.
Well, as those robotics facilities finish, he does go ahead and chrono boost out 2 Colossus, so it looks like he is going to try and go back in that tech.
Paladin tries to take his 4th base back, as does Dfraz. Dfraz clearly in the lead, being still at max, having resupplied from that last attack. When he moves in, it's going to be a real mess for Protoss. He does have a large number of SCVs in that army as well. Looks like he's got about 10. Observer from Paladin comes in to spot the army, so he sees what's going on, repositioning his army to be able to storm him as he comes in. That
Ghost moving forward.
Ghost is leading
trying
the
to
pack.
get the EMP.
There's not many units there.
And
and the
feedback.
Feedback. Nice storms on the army. Zealots are going to be repelled temporarily, but
Marauders hang out in the storm.
Those storms are just exactly direct on the Terran army, but the Marines come back in afterwards, and Paladin is going to get cleaned up here, but nice effort by him in that battle. Colossus comes in, gets taken down by the Vikings.
Those Archons take out the Vikings. And suddenly, the food isn't quite so different.
No. We are 128 to 114. This game has taken a bit of a turn. I was thinking that Dfraz was really going to get cleaned up, but that Colossus and those storms were just
The storms
right
were right on. If they had been in any other position.
So it looks like Dfraz is now taking a moment to just take expansions everywhere. He's got an extra command center at his 3rd base, which he's rallying to his 4th, where he's landing another command center. Paladin taking time to try and build back up the food supply, but Dfraz's production is pretty impressive, as he's got just a ton of barracks and a ton of starports. So he's got 1 starport, so that counts as a ton.
Both players have max upgrades on their ground units, including the Protoss shields. Terran ship weapons are at level 1.
Huge mega drop coming in for Dfraz into the main of Paladin. Looking like he's trying to find a sweet spot to drop in. Boost right into the middle. Drops as he goes.
High Templar warping in at the bottom of the ramp. They're going to walk up there. The Colossus move in.
Nice
few feedbacks. Immediately get turned into Archons.
That
Is Paladin going to turn this game around?
That +3 shield on those Archons and the Zealots is really, I think, helping out Paladin quite a bit, as he does have a few probes sitting idle in his base. those High Templar did get more feedbacks off on these medevacs that we didn't see right away.
So now we have Protoss in the supply lead, approaching 200.
This game has taken quite the turn. Dfraz in the base lead, but at the moment, Protoss, let's look at the unit stab, has 76 probes to 59 SCVs of Paladin, but it's not unusual in the late game for Terran to try and sacrifice some of those SCVs in favor of mules once you start powering through all those orbital commands. If you look at the income, Dfraz is actually out-mining
Paladin positioning his army, and those Ghosts do get EMPs off on the 2-back Colossus, but they then go down. Vikings tearing away at the Colossus. One falls. There's 3 Archons in the back that are not engaging in this battle. That's a huge misstep. They now realize their buddies are in trouble, and they get in there. It doesn't look like it's going to matter. The Archons are just running all over the place. A few more Vikings come in, but they're flying to rally up with the other 2.
Paladin has really turned this game around, making a nice push here with these Archons. We saw him really focus on those shield upgrades, really panning out for him. He's now at 333, which just makes these gateway units of Protoss extremely strong, and even though he has these Colossus here that have been weakened, they just cannot get to them. Looks like a couple mules coming down here, largely Manor mules it appears, and that's a well played from Dfraz with the good sport he has. GG's all around. Paladin is going to take that game. Can you believe that?
What an incredible turn of events. If you had asked me 10 minutes ago who I thought was going to win that game, I would have said Dfraz. He's just got the macro, he can replenish his army, and then suddenly just storm after storm after storm in just the right position at the right angles, catching him off guard at every other location, and he was able to decimate 200 army after 200 army after 200 army.
Storm is just so good against the bio units of Dfraz, and I'm wondering in Game 2 here, is this Game 2?
I do believe it is.
In Game 2 here that he's going to